Of all the state's plans NTIA has approved so far, each has identified a specific price or range of prices. Many of the states that have yet to be approved by NTIA, including Florida, my home state, have thus declined to do so, resisting NTIA's pressure campaign to get states to regulate broadband rates in direct conflict with the infrastructure's law text. Now, not only does this rely on questionable legal authority and longstanding commitment to not regulating broadband rates, but it's also bad policy. I would like to enter into the record South Carolina's Cured Volume 2 proposal, which was, quote, without the establishment of an approved low-cost broadband service option, the NTIA will not open to the state of South Carolina its additional allocation of $546,535,983.05.
Without objection.
In BEAD funds. Thank you. Director Giles, Montana was able to get approval from NTIA, albeit at a higher price than other states. Did NTIA make clear to you that it would only approve a plan that included an identified price for the low-cost plan?
Yes.
Okay. With the low-cost plan Montana has selected, how long is the provider responsible for providing that rate? And are they able to raise the rate to account for inflation? And additionally, what guidance has NTIA given in regards to the future of the low-cost requirement? So 3 parts.
Thank you. That's a great question. So to the guidance piece specifically, let's walk that back. So the requirement first and foremost is for 10 years as it relates to inflation. Yes and no. Some plans have been approved that have inflationary increases. It's unclear as to whether that will be allowed or not. Obviously, companies are pushing for that certainty. 10 years is a long time. The data that we use is updated every single year, but still think we would like to have some clarity in that. So I hate to give an unclear answer, but the guidance is unclear, so we're still kind of waiting to see how that shakes out in different states.
I have yet to meet a witness who says that they don't like an unclear answer. They love unclear answers. All right, so now we've talked about the delays that Montana and many other states may be facing if NTIA continues to offer guidance that conflicts with previous requirements. One thing that we haven't talked about is the impact that you perceive this delay will have on providers in Montana. So, Dr. Giles, how do the delays impact Montana's ISPs and stakeholders? And what happens to the BEAD timeline if Montana loses the 2025 build construction season?
Thank you. That's a great question. I know we've talked a lot about timelines, and I think it's all important to realize that this law was enacted in 2021, and at best right now we'll have fiber in the ground in 2029. So that's 8 years out that Americans are without these services, be it fixed wireless, fiber in the ground, or low Earth satellite. For Montana specifically, we're hoping to get our final proposal in by early spring. I think a big thing that we're unclear on is how long that will take to get approval. Because obviously if we miss a 2025 construction season, that's another year for us that we have to delay. We only get May through maybe October at best. That's in a good year. So I think for the western states, it's pretty critical to ensure that those approvals are very fast. Otherwise, we're going to lose another year, and we're into now 2030 of looking at connecting Americans.
Now, Mr. Alwan, I'm going to jump to you. Can you discuss the process for receiving NTIA's approval of your technology? Very briefly.
Yeah, there's no formal process for approving the technology. We fit into what's called non-priority and alternative. So after fiber, it's automatic. If fiber is not available at the correct price point, we would be approved for use.
Do you like it that way?
I think if we were to do that bill now, we would put fiber and next-gen fixed wireless on the same footing. I don't think there's a reason to have a priority anymore. At the time, there may have been. Times have changed.
Okay, something to consider. Ms. Bloomfield, we have seen some of the shortcomings, and you highlighted them in your testimony, including inadequate vetting of bidders until after the end of the reverse auction. So to the point that so much of the FCC has provided amnesty to art off some winners. There's some in my state that have fallen through. What are some of the lessons learned that BEAD should implement from those situations?
That is a great question, and I think that is where some of the frustration comes with how this is taking so much time. The difference is this is vetting up front, because the last thing any one of us wants to do is in 5 years be in front of you and tell you why this didn't work. So I think that is the beauty, because you've got constituents who thought they were going to get broadband 3 years ago, and then their provider called uncle because they couldn't meet the RDOF requirements.
Yep.
So I do think there have been some lessons learned, and I'd like to think we're implementing them.
And would you agree that the census tract model, it's a flawed one?
Oh, the smaller the better in terms of service territories in my book.
Absolutely. And I know I'm getting close to the end of my time, or I'm over my time, but I'm filibustering for my gentleman and colleague in the 2 floors down from the great state of Texas. So give me some leeway here, Mr. Chairman. So in talking about the census element being so broken, right? What about the crowdfunding of maps?
Oh, so, I think the more data you can get into the map system, the better. And I think, there should be more verification on the ground. I mean, I'm a big fan of, go out there, see it, because right now, all a provider has to do is do advertised rates. They don't actually have to be able to provide it.
Okay, we're going to have to end there. I apologize. So I was enjoying your soliloquy.